Over the last couple weeks here in the Lakes area, a highly controversial development project was approved on Washington Avenue, on the corner of Washington Avenue and Westlake Drive, known as the Fairfield Inn Hotel and Suites. There will also be a restaurant there and 9 condos. The reason it's such a highly controversial project is because it went through the city of Detroit Lakes with 5 variances that are pretty extreme variances to the shoreline ordinance rules set up by the city and by the state, and a lot of people have some concern about that. In fact, the Department of Natural Resources has actually threatened litigation against the city of Detroit Lakes for allowing this type of building to occur in that area. As the time we film this, it remains to be seen if the Department of Natural Resources is going to follow through on that threat for a pending lawsuit. But let's talk a little bit about shoreland ordinance issues in general. I had a chance to talk with the Department of Natural Resources DNR land use planner, Dan Petrick, just about shoreland use in general. And the reason I want to talk about it is to find out some of the rules, some of the regulations, and then of course we can compare them to our own situation here in Detroit Lakes. And after doing that, I will tell you, it gets about as clear as mud. It is not very clear one way or another, in my opinion, whether or not the city of Detroit Lakes has acted appropriately. And maybe they have acted appropriately, but there might be some still questions about morally, was it justified in what they've done? We'll see. But basically, the shoreland rules began in 1970. It was a response to a huge economic boom here in the state of Minnesota, in which a lot of people, primarily from the Twin Cities area, began moving up north and having permanent cabins up north instead of small cabins, much larger family complexes. This was really prevalent in the northeast part, Grand Rapids, Duluth area, and the Brainerd Lakes area, and to some extent here in the Detroit Lakes, Fergus Falls areas as well. Basically, the fear was too much mass building up on the lakes was going to somehow destroy the character of the lakes that we had come to love here in the state of Minnesota. So the DNR said we should have some shoreland rules and regulations affecting anything within 1,000 feet of the ordinary high water mark. So they came up with basically mathematical equations. There is no magic number for height, impervious surface, parking, green space, or density from the state of Minnesota's perspectives. What they have is recommendations based on lot size, which is some kind of mathematical equation. Cities were then allowed to have their own ordinances passed within those different mathematical equations the DNR has. This is why it gets as clear as mud. Those city ordinances have to be approved. But the Department of Natural Resources and the city gave exceptions to those shoreland ordinances which they can pass. The one who is permitted to enforce these shoreland ordinances is not the Department of Natural Resources, like many people in the Lakes area might suspect. It is, in fact, the city of Detroit Lakes, or the city wherever this body of water is, or the county. And both have ways to get exceptions to the building regulations if they feel there's a better use or need for the community. And this is allowed by the local municipalities, this is allowed by townships, this is allowed by counties. According to what I understand from talking with the DNR, the city has gone through that process. Which means, what's this threat about a pending lawsuit? The reality is, any average citizen, any public lake association, if the Pelican River Watershed wanted to, anybody could sue over this development and be on the exact same standing as the Department of Natural Resources. They have no special skills, they have no special enforcement here. Really, if this would be deemed a violation, this ruling by the Detroit Lake City Council, by the Planning Commission, by the Public Development Committee, through those votes as a violation, it'd be up to a judge and be up to be proven in court. And exactly what the outcome could be would really be up to that judge. So it really doesn't get very clear. But what is clear is this: there are exceptions in the shoreland rules. And there is not a number that says 10% over is acceptable, 20, 30. There is no magic number. It just gives exceptions. The city has done that. The city, according by the legal standards, has gone through all the process that I can see to give this variance. But the question is it too high? Is this, the city got authority to do this versus state statute? Is this over what the state statutes allow, given their mathematical equations, even though there's no set numbers? That's what gets scary. Is this a development city right versus statutes, ordinance rights? And that's why I don't think it's very clear. At the time we're recording this, the DNR was still assessing whether or not it wanted to file a lawsuit. But really, anybody can. And we'll have to see how this comes out, because I think most people agree that this area needs to see something develop. It's considered blighted. And if this doesn't happen, and it can't happen without some type of variances, I don't know if we'll ever see anything on this corner.